The body is designed to heal itself. That's the first thing. No physician heals. All that a physician does is they facilitate the healing, but you do the healing one cell at a time. Yes, modern medicine is amazing. If you suffer a heart attack, if you get run over by a bus, if you've got an out-of-control infection, then thank goodness for modern medicine. But where it fails terribly is diseases that are associated with things like poor nutrition, stress, pollution, exposure to toxins, and aging. And we don't want to have medicine that deals with symptoms. We want to have medicine that identifies and deals with the very root causes. It comes down to the way we nourish and sustain our bodies. So that's the real message that we are promoting with the FreeRangers, is body heal thyself. And you do that through providing real food, sunshine, and exercise. Those are the true medicines for basically being strong and resilient and being able to live a long and productive life and to die peacefully at 110 years of age with a smile on your face for a life well lived.
You are listening to the FreeRangers podcast, where we explore health, freedom, and living strong and free. FreeRangers is a movement about reclaiming our health, resilience, and independence. We believe in real food, natural movement, and a body's ability to heal itself. This is about living close to the land, raising adventurous children, and rescuing New Zealand as a beacon of health and freedom for the world. Let's get started.
Hi there! Welcome to the FreeRangers podcast. I'm Maxi, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today, we have the one and only Garry Moller. Hi, Garry!
Yes, hello, Maxi, and it's an absolute exciting pleasure to have our first ever FreeRangers podcast.
Before we get started, can you please tell us about who you are and tell us about what is the FreeRangers movement?
Well, I am a child of the 1950s, a baby boomer, a post-war child, and I had probably the most free-range upbringing that one could ever imagine. When I look back on my childhood, was just an incredibly rich and wonderful and adventurous experience. Since then, I have worked in the health sector, in the coalface, working with the ill and the injured, from Olympians through to the elderly, just ordinary people wanting to live a good life. And I've been doing that for now well over 50 years. So I think it's coming on to about 53 years of either full-time study or full-time work at the coalface. I should also point out that I have worked in government within accident compensation, helping to set up New Zealand's unique and amazing accident compensation scheme. So I do have that administrative background as well. I'm also walking the talk. I'm a 5 times Masters mountain biking world champion. I live the free range way. I practice what I preach. I make a very important point of doing that. One thing I learned very early on when it comes to natural health is that if I'm going to prescribe a remedy to a patient, I need to have had some hands-on experience with that remedy itself. I've always said to my staff, don't prescribe anything. We're talking about things like exercise, diet, lifestyle things. Don't prescribe anything that you haven't done yourself. It's a good principle. It's about walking the talk. So what I've seen over the years is that New Zealand has gone from being in the top 3 or 4 countries in the world, anywhere, we were competing with countries like Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, those countries, mostly Scandinavian, to be the best place in the world to live and to raise a family. That was in the 1960s and 1970s. But since the early 1980s, New Zealand has done a steady decline downwards. We are now competing, and it's maybe I shouldn't use the word competing, but we are very close to being at the very bottom of the developed world for just about any measure you would like to have of health and wellness, whether it's youth suicide, whether it's obesity, diabetes, heart disease, cancer, infant mortality. We have done a real plunge to the bottom. We're now in the bottom 2 or 3 in the world for most of those measures. And that's something I'm very unhappy with. And it is a something that threatens to bankrupt this nation, not only financially, but also in terms of its health and happiness. So the FreeRangers movement was born out of this frustration. And what I am giving through the FreeRangers movement is hope and very clear direction to turn that hope into reality. So that's the FreeRangers movement, which we will explain more of.
Yes, thank you so much, Gary, for sharing that. And I know you have been in the industry for more than 50 years, helping different people. What is the main edge that when you thought that you really you have to start the FreeRangers movement?
Well, I first launched a FreeRangers program, a website, about 20 years ago. But I let it slip. And when COVID came along with the lockdowns, the mandates, shifting away from health messaging, positive health messaging, to fear-based messaging, to lock yourself in your basements, to be fearful of your neighbours, don't even talk to your neighbours, don't pet the dog, health measures that were, to say the least, dodgy, while ignoring and even suppressing positive health-based remedies, nutrition, exercise, fresh air, enjoyment, happiness, all the things that boost the immune system. We were given none of that messaging. And I must admit that outraged me. It was fear and coercion, and I saw the crushing of freedom. Free range is about freedom. Freedom is a big word when it comes to free ranging. Children also, increasingly so, this has been a trend since the early 80s, children have been denied risk. And especially when I was working with ACC and injury prevention and so on, we had many discussions about the concepts of risk and danger. There's a difference between them. We need risk, we need adventure, we need adversity, we need stress. These are all things that make us stronger physically and mentally. And there's a difference between those and outright danger. We could do a podcast on this one later, okay? And so children have been excessively wrapped up in cotton wool to the point where they lose their resilience, their adventurism, and so on. And this accelerated during the COVID years and continues to this day to worsen. People are becoming fragile, and when adversity struck, the pandemic, where we were looking at a vulnerable population that was at risk of dropping like flies. And that was unnecessary. It could have been avoided. by taking bold, positive measures, which were based on the great outdoors, nutrient-dense food, laughter and happiness, fresh air, sunlight, those sorts of things, combined with what we know about nutrition science these days for promoting immune strength to resist these bugs that would otherwise go through our populations like a dose of salts.
Yes. And I know that you mentioned earlier, this is going to be my next questions, but I know you already mentioned earlier that Free Rangers is actually means freedom. And my next questions will be, how do other people react when you shared about the free range versus caged chicken?
When people think of free ranger, they instantly get it. Okay, and often they'll greet me with a laugh because they know exactly what that is. And parents know that their children do thrive on being exposed to adventure and adversity and challenge and so on. And the image of like a chook in a cage versus a chook that is wild, roaming, scratching for grubs, a hen and its rooster and its little clutch of chickens that it is protecting. It is so symbolic of what, say, a healthy family should be. A mother and a father raising their little clutch of children in a very healthy, free-range way. People get it. They understand it. Caged chickens, there would be nobody in New Zealand who says it's a good thing. So why do we do that to ourselves? Why do we do that to our children? It's time for us to restore better balance and, by the way, recapture New Zealand's pioneering can-do-it tradition, which we've lost in just a few generations.
I completely agree with you. Why do you think the Free Rangers is very important today?
We have lost contact with Mother Nature, with our nourishing traditions, with the things that make us truly human. And we now have a sedentary population, living sedentary lifestyles. There's excessive reliance on medications, and this has happened since the 1980s. Again, we could do a podcast on this topic alone, and I think we should, Maxi. Processed food dominates, and in fact, human nutrition and human health and medicine is unfortunately dominated by large businesses, large industries that are lumped together into things like big pharma, big medicine, big farming, big food, big chemical, those sorts of things that dominate and which to a very large degree control the health professions, such as what I work in. Okay, we've lost a good deal of our autonomy, unfortunately. So we have excessively overprocessed foods. We should have the best food in the world, all of us, because of modern practices of food production, storage, transport, processing, and so on. But unfortunately, we have produced food which is calorie high, but nutrient poor, and also which is heavily reliant on chemicals, not just for its production, but also for things like flavoring, coloring, preserving, emulsifying, and on it goes to increase things like shelf life. And we've really lost connection with Mother Nature. We have lost our resilience. And should I add, we've lost our sense of community. And that's another area of free rangers. There's no such thing as a lone chook or a lone free range creature. They have their own little communities where they support and look after each other. And I mentioned, the rooster and the hen and the clutch of little chicks. Okay, that's what we need. There is a saying, no man is an island unto his own. We are communal creatures. We need community. We need to be loved. We need to be feeling like we belong. We have to have a sense of purpose. And I should say, a sense of purpose above ourselves. It's not a purpose about self. It's about what we can do for our community, for our country, for humanity, and of course, for life on this planet.
Thank you so much, Garry. And I would like to add on what you mentioned earlier, like people or most of the industries, big companies are starting to create food that is high in calorie and poor in nutrients. And this is something that we have to look for because it's actually not good for everyone's health. It's definitely affecting our health because our human body was made to eat a natural from plants, from the land, and not by producing of these big companies. I know some of these are goods, but not all of them are really, really goods. That's why we really have to check everything on the labels before we buy it. And this is something connected to my next questions to you. Do you think most of the people are not fully aware on how this food changes and this kind of unhealthy lifestyle it become a new normal?
Yes, you're dead right, Maxi. The problem is, I'm in my 70s. I've been working 50 years in the health sector. I've been living and breathing health for that period of time. And what I've noticed is this transition that has occurred. It's been step by step by step that it's like termites chewing away at the foundations. It just starts off a little bit and a little bit and a little bit until you get to the point where the entire structure is at risk of collapsing completely into a heap of dust. And I fear that we are getting close to that point, certainly here in New Zealand and in most of the Western world, I should add, and probably elsewhere. So, yes, there has been a gradual loss of resilience, nutrition, and so on. And it's another analogy. It's like putting a frog in a pot of cold water and then gradually heating it up to the point where it boils. If it's done slowly, then the creature doesn't perceive the dire situation that it is finding itself in. And this is what we've happened. Another point, I'm in very good health. I don't have any aches and pains. I haven't got any arthritic joints. I don't have a dicky heart, all of that sort of thing. My brain seems to work very well and so on. Most people my age will accept that being on medication, having a dodgy knee, a weak heart, an inflamed prostate, those sorts of things, being overweight, having a belly, those are perceived as being normal. And that's because it's normal because you're surrounded by people who are unwell. Just about everybody my age is medicated. So I'm unusual, though I feel normal, I feel healthy, but it's by my own personal standard. If somebody is unwell long enough, then it becomes normal. People forget what it's like to have energy and vitality and to be able to get out there and really enjoy life. Constant aches and pains, being on meds, they're accepted as being just part of life. And here's the thing. Those perceptions are moving downwards. So diseases that I once considered diseases of old people are now diseases of young people. So it was once like extremely rare for anybody under the age of 50 to be on medication.
Yes.
And today, I would be irresponsible with any patient not to first ask them, what medications are you on? Okay. And it moves right down into childhood now. Many children are on asthma medication and various drugs for behavioral issues and so on. Back when I was a child, these were unheard of, absolutely unheard of. And we're even seeing like fatty liver disease in children as young as 10 years of age. So ill health, being unwell, is now the new norm. We need to hit the big reset button for the country. We need to restore New Zealand to being the best place in the world to live and to raise a family. And we can do that. It's the FreeRangers way.
Yes. And I think we can correlate those people is actually unhealthy to a caged chicken because the lifestyle is the same. They're thinking like it's normal.
Yes. When you cage a chicken, or if you overprotect a child, I'm talking about exposing them to risk and challenge, adversity, because these are things that strengthen you, make you stronger physically and emotionally to be able to take on life's challenges. Life's not easy. It's tough, okay? We should have
Yes.
no illusions about that. Life is not easy, Maxi. And
Yes.
we need to raise children that we can send out into the world and to take on whatever is thrown at them, and to do so with strength and also with dignity. And that's what FreeRangers is about. If we keep them in a cage, what we risk is what a caged chicken is. And that is unable to fend for itself, sickly, and dependent. And if not dependent on their parents, then dependent on the state to care for them. And unfortunately, that doesn't work very well. So we need to use the free range approach to life to prepare our children and also to prepare ourselves, because it's a never-ending challenge, regardless of age. We need to be constantly looking at ways of improving. As they say, better never rests.
Yes. And I am completely agree with you, Gary. And I would like to share this as well. I was a caged chicken before. I am in the same situations that I think I'm really healthy, but it's actually not because I was blind in everything that I when I grew up in my situations. I thought it's the right way of kind of living, but it's not. But I would like to ask this with you, Gary. I know you have been in this industry for so many years, and I know you have helped a lot of people. Can you give us an example of what kind of cage chicken or this kind of children who has not been in the freedom, not eating healthy, and what is the long-term effect of this being in a cage?
Well, I think the most obvious thing, Maxi, is the inability to look after oneself, to fend for oneself in the real world. We're talking about children who are fragile, who cannot cannot handle adversity, whether that's physical or whether that is psychological. To be able to do well in the workforce, to do well in relationships, whether that's work relationships or whether it's community or whether it's personal, as in marriage and all these things. It requires strength and resilience. It requires negotiating skills. It requires the ability to go down different paths that haven't been explored, those kinds of things. And if we don't prepare a child for that, they will struggle as adults. And this is where the great outdoors, sport, recreation, hiking, riding bicycles, exploring, getting mud between your toes, climbing trees, paddling a canoe, learning to swim, all of those sorts of wonderful outdoors activities that New Zealand is unbelievably endowed with, are things that help to develop those skills that we're talking about. You see, play and sport and role playing and so on have been used since the beginning of humanity to prepare the young for their passage into adulthood. So that's simply what FreeRangers is. And I should add, New Zealand is the best placed country on the planet for developing the template for the rest of the world to aspire to. That's what's so exciting. If New Zealand can do it, then the rest of the world can. And we can do it with relative ease because there's only 5 million of us and we have the most amazing environment in which to develop the model. Okay, so that's so exciting.
That's an amazing goal, Garry, for the New Zealand. And I know it is not only for New Zealand, but it will apply with the different parts of the world, because here in the Philippines, we're also experiencing the same thing, and we will be supporting the FreeRangers. And this is my next question is, how do you think the FreeRangers movement is connected to the philosophy of body, heal thyself, and food as a medicine?
Well, those two concepts are several thousand years, at least 2,000 years old. I call them enduring truths. They're truths that have stood the test of time. So despite the fact that we have learned an enormous amount about how the human body works, medicine, science, those sorts of things, those two statements, body heal thyself and let food be thy medicine, are more true than they've ever been. So that's the really exciting thing. These are enduring truths. These are the truths that we should never discard unless there was a very, very strong argument. So the body is designed to heal itself. That's the first thing. No physician heals. You do the healing. All that a physician does is they facilitate the healing, but you do the healing one cell at a time. Okay, that's a very important concept. Yes, modern medicine is amazing. If you suffer a heart attack, if you get run over by a bus, if you've got an out-of-control infection, then thank goodness for modern medicine. But where it fails terribly is diseases that are associated with things like poor nutrition, stress, pollution, exposure to toxins, and aging, things like that. For those, there is an abject failure. Modern medicine is great for healing broken bones, treating infections, and so on. It's called modern emergency medicine, not to be mixed up with medicine that essentially deals with symptoms. And we don't want to have medicine that deals with symptoms. We want to have medicine that identifies and deals with the very root causes. And when we are dealing with the root causes, it comes down to the way we nourish and sustain our bodies. So that's the real message that we are promoting with the FreeRangers is body heal thyself. And you do that through providing real food, sunshine, and exercise. Those are the true medicines for basically being strong and resilient and being able to live a long and productive life and to die peacefully at 110 years of age with a smile on your face for a life well lived. Okay? There are no drugs that achieve that, by the way. So FreeRangers brings all of this ancient wisdom and marries it with the best of modern science and technology to give you the absolute best of everything. A true free-ranger solution to today's health and well-being woes. Drugs certainly can be helpful. They can help to rescue a precarious situation, a precarious health situation. However, they do not cure the underlying causes unless it is being run over by a bus or an out-of-control infection or the loss of function of an organ. Okay. Other than that, drugs do not cure anything, but they can help to buy time. And while they buy time, that is when we come in with the body heal thyself and food as medicine remedies. So that's a very important concept. Drugs, there is barely a drug that doesn't come with a side effect. And in fact, very long lists of side effects. It is a Faustian contract, and we should do a podcast on the Faustian contract at some stage and how it relates to health and well-being. But yes, drugs are important, but they are seldom the remedy for anything other than an infection or a catastrophic injury.
Yeah. And what do you say about when they said the philosophy is not correct and it's too slow or it is it is unscientific compared to drugs?
Yes. So, Maxi, if you came to me and you said, Garry, I want to train for the Olympics, I would first of all ask you, which Olympics? And that would be at least 4 years away. And in fact, I would be encouraging you, depending on your level of condition, to think of like 10 years away or even 12 years away. Okay. The true success comes from patience and persistence. Just gradually chipping away day after day at improving one's health and fitness, one's skills, one's knowledge, and so on. It's not about cramming. It's not about drastic diets or joining the gym and going 5, 6, 7 days a week hard at it. Okay, those are recipes for failure. The quick fix in health seldom, if ever, works. The best weight loss programs, for example, are the ones where there is a very gradual, almost imperceptible loss of weight over 1 or 2 years. That kind of weight loss is enduring. The rapid, quick fix weight loss, whether that is through a crash diet, stomach reduction, or taking a weight loss drug, they almost without exception rebound, where the person loses all that weight and then at some point they regain it plus a whole lot more. They end up worse off than they were. Or they lose a whole lot of weight And then on the side, they develop a horrible disease, like a neurological disease, righto? That's the Faustian contract. You get short-term benefits, but long-term consequences that you wouldn't wish upon anybody, not even your worst enemy. So quick fixes don't cure. All they do is they mask. Now, nutrition, on the other hand, and lifestyle measures, which are done gradually, incrementally, just tiny little steps at a time, they are absolutely proven to work. Now, Maxi, I might add in my practice, okay? So somebody comes to me and they say, Mr. Moller, I've been diagnosed with this incurable disease, and I've tried everything and nothing has worked. Please help me. Now, the problem there is that natural therapies are unlikely to work. Where natural therapies work is when you start 20 years before the disease has even begun to rear its ugly head. The key to enduring health is to invest forward in your health, to work on the basis of staying 20 years ahead of all disease. And the really good thing about modern technology and science is that we can look ahead and we can make very good predictions that if you were to continue down this particular track, looking at your family history and so on, we can say with a good deal of certainty what sorts of diseases you might suffer from later in life. But we don't wait for them. What we do is we take corrective action. If there is a family history or a genetic risk of this or that, if your lifestyle is setting you up for certain disease like heart disease, then let's take the action now. And it can be easy, incremental steps towards good health. And it works. And I'm the living example of that. I'm probably the best example. And there are other members of my family that are good examples. Maxi, you've seen it. You can see the reset that is probably happening in your own life simply because you thought you were incredibly healthy and fit and strong, and then you met the Moller family, you poor thing.
Yes.
And so the reset happens. Okay, got the idea. Natural healing builds lasting resilience, and that's what FreeRangers is all about. It really does set people up for the most amazing, wonderful, fulfilling life that is possible.
I am completely agree with you. I would like to support on what you mentioned earlier, Gary, because I'm actually also a living proof that as a person that is living in an unhealthy way, and I met Gary a year ago. The food that I was being fed when I was a kid, it is not 100% healthy. When I graduated in university, I started working. I worked in a corporate, which is I got a lot of stress, not eating healthy. There's a point like my body said, stop. I really can't handle this anymore. And I'm so happy a year ago, Gary helped me. I stopped eating processed food. I stopped eating fast food. I stopped eating preservatives food. I gradually introduced a good food in my body. And it's not just one click in just one day, I feel better. It took me a lot of time. It took me a lot of courage as well because my body not used to it. My body doesn't want to eat vegetables. I've never had vegetable when I was a kid because I'm really, really scared of vegetables. As I continuously eating it, my body feel better, and at the same time, I'm also going out now, doing some runs in the morning, going to the gym for a quick workout. It's completely different now.
That's a wonderful story, and you sum it up, and there's so many lessons in there. I think one of the key things for people to visualize is to be the tortoise and not the hare. You start the journey, you start low, you go slow, you take your time, you don't rush. It's not like a bull at a gate. You just make small changes and give your body and your mind the opportunity to keep up with the changes that you are introducing. And Maxi, yes, you are a living example of what it is to begin adopting the free range lifestyle. Okay, even though you live in one of the most densely populated cities on the planet, you are actually implementing many of the things that we are talking about. So I congratulate you on that, and it's absolutely wonderful to have you hosting this podcast.
To wrap it up, Garry, I would like to ask this. For those people who are listening on us and watching us, when they heard the Free Rangers movement, how do you want them to remember it? And to sum it up, what is the Free Rangers?
Well, first of all, it's not a brand. It's not a political party. It's a movement. It's a movement for health. It's for a movement for freedom and for resilience. Okay, it's a way of life. You don't even have to belong to anything. And I should say that the Free Rangers movement, there's no membership. We're not asking for any money from you. We do have a small range of nutritional products, which I like my super smoothie, which when you buy, that funds the Free Ranger movement. It's as simple as that. And for improving your health, your fitness and resilience, you support the Free Rangers movement by purchasing those products. So I'll just give a little plug for that. The Free Rangers movement is really rooted in honoring our ancestors, honoring what made you who you are, and not losing sight of that. It's also rooted in questioning authority, trusting nature. We must be very careful when we are looking at what is best for us, that we don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, so to speak. It's about living strong and free and being connected with Mother Nature. We are living creatures. We have a God script called our DNA, which we need to do some podcasts on. It's a code of life that is shared with every other living creature, large and small. And we must not forget that. We are connected intimately with Mother Nature. And it's about not living in a caged life. It's about resilience, food sovereignty, freedom of choice, adventure. It's about community and family, all of the things that make us human. It's what constitutes a healthy, free-range minded creature, you and me, your friends, your family, and so on. It's about freedom of choice, not being led by authorities. It's about doing what's right for you morally, and what's right for your community, for your country, for humanity, but also for all life. Also recognizing that adventure and adversity, discomfort, these are what strengthen us. It's out of discomfort that we grow. We do not grow out of comfort. It's life needs to be a balance, a balance between discomfort and comfort. We need to stress our body and mind, and then we rest, during which we grow stronger and better prepared to face the next challenge. And then we bring on the next challenge. And then we rest. And then we grow a little bit stronger. It's about getting better at everything. And as I said, better never rests. It's a process that continues from the day you're born, and in fact, before you are born, and it continues right through to your very last heartbeat, your very last breath. It's never ending. So the FreeRangers movement is about, well, free ranging. It's an exciting approach to life, and it embodies everything.
Thank you so much, Garry, for sharing that. And I know that's going to be the wrap of our first episode of the Free Rangers podcast. And if you have any other questions for Garry, let us know in the comment section. Thank you so much for giving us a time and opportunity to be heard today. And we will see you on the next one. Do you have anything else to say, Garry?
Well, no, I'm just so excited that we've got our first podcast ready to rock and roll. And gosh, we've got so many topics to cover. It's almost like, Maxi, where do we start? Okay, it's so exciting. And Maxi, thank you so much for hosting this. And let's make this podcast a real hit because, gosh, it is so needed.
Thank you, Garry, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!
Thank you for joining us on the Free Rangers podcast. Free Rangers is a movement to restore health, resilience, and freedom, starting with ourselves, our families, and our communities. Now it's your turn to walk the talk. Take a simple step today, cook a real meal, get outdoors with your loved ones, plant something in the garden, or share this episode with someone who needs it. Let's connect online and join the movement at freerangers.co.nz. Together we can thrive naturally and make New Zealand a beacon of hope for the world. Until next time, live strong, live free, live like a Free Rangers. Bye!